Hi, my name is Michael Williams, and believe it or not, I stuttered for more than 20 years, from the time I was young, well through my 20s. I didn't stutter 100% of the times in 100% of the situations, but most people who stutter don't. They don't stutter 100% of the times in 100% of the situations, on 100% of the words. Most people who stutter, stutter sometimes in certain situations, certain times, certain words, right? And some people stutter more than others. And we call this situational stuttering. Well, this is what I had to struggle with. In fact, I stuttered to the degree that I thought of myself as a stutterer. And what that means is that I felt restricted. In fact, I restricted myself from doing many things, or I would learn how to hide the stuttering and learn so that most people didn't even know that in fact I stuttered. But I carried this around with me, the pressure and the headaches and the hiding and the so not saying things or saying things in a roundabout way. I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. In fact, one of the first jobs that I got out of college was doing something that I really used to hate to do. And guess what that was? Talking on the telephone, right? I was working for a great insurance company, but I was on the phone all day long. I couldn't stand it. I would come home, I'd have headaches, just, the pressure of having to figure out how to say something and being on the phone. Now, this job helped me in many ways, but still, I still stuttered, so I still had to struggle with that. Until one day, it finally came down to, I don't want to be doing this the rest of my life, so I need to figure out what I'm going to do. So I did some soul searching, did some meditating, some praying, did some researching, did a lot of different things to try to figure out what it was that I wanted to do. And finally it became clear that whatever it was that I was going to do was going to require me to, guess what, speak in public. And so I was like, well, wait a minute, I can't speak in public because I stutter, right? So then, I kept thinking, I was just, listen, if you're going to be happy, if you're going to be fulfilled, if you're going to be productive in life, you're going to be doing something that's going to require you to speak in public. So I had to figure out a way to not just overcome stuttering, but to actually learn how to speak well, to actually become an excellent speaker. And so as I worked through a couple of decades of figuring out how to do this up to the point where I'm at now, just 3.5 years ago, I began to share these strategies and techniques with other people, and I've learned so much from that process. And one of the things that happens is that many of the folks that I've shared this with ask me questions. They leave comments on my YouTube, or they'll send me emails, and they'll say, Michael, can you give me some tips or some tricks or techniques for how to say my name, or for how to get started in a conversation, or how to respond. If someone says something to me and I have to respond, I get stuck, I block. Can you tell me how I can say vowel sounds? I have problems saying A's or E's or I's or consonants. Can you give me some tips on how to do that? And while there are tips and tricks and techniques that are usually short-term or temporary that a person can use to make it through, to navigate through those situations, I really don't feel comfortable doing that, because it's kind of like if you have a really bad wound, a really bad cut, and you put a bandage or a Band-Aid on it. Well, that might be good temporarily, but maybe that wound needs surgery, right? Maybe needs something more extensive than just the Band-Aids. So often giving tips and tricks might be necessary in the short term, but what we really need is something more extensive, right? Something more extensive. So what I'd like to do is I want to share with you an absolutely free video that's more extensive, right? It's not going to be very long, but it's very extensive, and it's called The One Big Tip. And I actually did a complete webinar on this, The One Big Tip, and I'd like to share that link with you as well. So when you give me your name and your email address, I'm going to send you a link immediately, or at least within a relatively short period of time, to this video, The One Big Tip, that I've especially prepared for you. But I'm also going to send you a link to the webinar, which I think you'll enjoy, and that's a little longer, so that's why I wanted to prepare this special video called The One Big Tip. In addition, maybe on a weekly basis, I'll send you updates on when I have new videos or webinars or webcasts or whatever. Now, Not going to spam you, not going to be sending you emails every 5 minutes or every single day. Not going to share your emails or anything like that because I respect your attention and your privacy. But if you agree, I will send you updates. And usually people want to know when I have a new video or when I'm having a webinar and so forth and so on. But once again, I'll always respect your privacy, and at any time, you can simply unsubscribe. Hey, I'm getting too many emails. Even if it's just once a week, that might be too many for you. You can unsubscribe, and I understand it's perfectly fine. But you simply cannot afford to miss this information. And that is, people are asking me, how can I say my name? How can I respond? How can I say these sounds or these? How can I do this? And so in this video, I'm giving you one big tip that's far more extensive than just the little tips on how to do those things. And everyone who's watched this video or at least attended the webinar has greatly benefited from it. So I'm sure that you will too. Thank you very much for your time and attention. It's been a great pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you in that video. This is Michael Williams.